claimants of guidance. So science, philosophy and religion. Now let's briefly have a look at each of them and take them up one by one and see whether they are valid, whether they are justified in claiming that they can guide humanity in the ultimate questions of life. Have a look at science first. Let's take them up one by one. Science. Look at science. So the question we put to science is this: that is science really capable of guiding humanity on the basis of certain and sure knowledge in our ultimate problems of life? So that's the question to science. Now, in order to examine the validity of science, we need to have a look at the validity of the scientific method upon which science is based. We all know that the basis of science are observation and experimentation. Now let's examine observation and see whether this observation is valid. Brothers and sisters, we all know that there are three factors in every observation. There are three ingredients, shall we say, three different factors of observation. Number one is the observer, then the object which is observed, and finally the conditions under which an observation is made. So these are the three factors which make up an observation. Now what we need to find out here, in order to trust science in ultimate problems of life, and I'm not talking about the immediate physical problems of life, technology and so on. We are looking for answers for the ultimate questions as to what are we doing here, what is the meaning and purpose of our life. Can we get these answers from science? So science is based on these three things: the observer, the object which is observed, and the conditions under which an observation is made. Now let us look at them one by one and see whether they are variable, which means changeable, or whether they are stable. Because if they are variable, then obviously they can't be trusted. Let's look at the first one. The first one is the observer. An observer, my brothers and sisters, we know. First one is the observer. Now, obviously, observation is bound to vary, bound to differ, based upon this factor alone. Because from observer to observer, from person to person, people are different. People have different powers of sight, smell, of touch, of hearing, and and so on, of these five senses. And also people are different in their intellectual makeup. So this observer, the first observer, if the observer is hard of hearing, if the observer is short-sighted, if the observer has lost a sense of smell, for instance, then obviously that observation is going to be different to the observation somebody else makes. And people are not only different to this, but also to their intellectual ability. People are different according to the intellectual ability because when the senses present their information to the intellect, now the person who interprets them may be a lunatic, may be an idiot. So basically the point is this, that the first factor is variable. People could be colorblind or myopic. So the first factor, the observer, can differ on the basis of, is variable on the basis of this first factor. Have a look at the second one, the observation, the object which is observed. Now, we know, brothers and sisters, that the more concrete, the more immediate, and the more comprehensible an object is, the more possibility is there for an observation being correct. Take sodium chloride, for instance. It's commonly available. You can test it in a test tube. But when you examine sodium chloride, go to the atomic physics and examine the atoms of sodium chloride, then obviously it's going to be a very difficult task, even though it's very immediate. And not just sodium chloride, brothers and sisters. The more remote an object is, the more distant an object is, the more ungraspable an object is, the less the possibility is there for a correct observation. A few decades ago, the scientists had agreed that the moon had a certain distance from the Earth. And it was thought to be at 100% truth, But later on, they changed their mind and says, no, actually, the last one was a miscalculation, and this new figures are right. So the second factor also is variable, is also changeable. The third factor is the conditions under which an observation is made. I'm not going to define each one. Let's have a look at an example. The conditions under which an observation is made. Take a straight rod, put it into a glass of water, and what do you see? That the straight rod, it looks tilted at the point where the air and water, medium of air and water, meet this glass rod. Now, obviously, conditions are also variable because due to these conditions, the observation can also vary. You're traveling in a desert. What do you see? In a distance, and the sultry heat of the sun. What do you see in a desert in a distance? You see a lake of water. Mirage. But when you go there and have a look at it yourself, it's nothing, it's just an illusion. So if you were content with the first observation, you would have always thought, there's a lake. So the third factor in a scientific observation, brothers and sisters, the conditions, is also a variable factor. So we have so far proved that all three factors in an observation, which is what the science is based on, are variable factors, therefore of doubtful value, therefore not 100%. And that's why the science cannot provide us answers, 100% answers, for our ultimate problems in life. And also, brothers and sisters, look at Newton. He said that the world is three-dimensional, that time and space are two separate entities. But then came Einstein, who says, no, this world is four-dimensional. The time is actually the fourth dimension of space. And since then, the science has progressed has moved from saying that the matter itself is unreal. So who knows, tomorrow some clever scientists may come and explode the physics of Einstein also. So there's no permanence in science. And it's all variable factors, so therefore it's of doubtful value. That's why we don't go to the scientists to ask for the problems. My dear scientist, can you please tell me what is the purpose of my creation? Why are we here? We don't go to the scientists because they don't have an accurate and precise method of telling us anything about our purpose of life. So far science we've eliminated. Let's go to philosophy. That's the next one, because there were three claimants, remember? Science, philosophy, and religion. Now look at philosophy. Is philosophy capable of guiding us on the basis of sure knowledge? Well, frankly, the answer is no. You see, brothers and sisters, all philosophy can be classified into four schools of thought, broadly. There's empirical rationalism,